Calling the City Council meeting to order. Today's date, September 2nd, 2025. We have the prayer by Pastor Barbara Sutton, Christ, the Caring Ministries. Pastor, if you would come up to the podium and begin whenever you're ready.
Let us pray. God of mercy, God of grace, God of pure and sweet embrace, how we praise you, O God, for this another opportunity to come boldly before the throne of grace. As we acknowledge, God, that it's nothing we've done so great, but it's because of your mercy, your grace, your love, your power, and your protection. For that, God, we just want to say thank you. And we ask you now, Father, to have mercy upon us, and God, that you would forgive us for our sins in Jesus' name. We ask you on tonight, God, that you would be in the midst, God, of this city council meeting. We ask you now, God, that you would touch the hearts and the mind of our city council, of our mayor. Help them to make decisions, God, that's in the best interest of we, all the people that live in the city of Kinston, North Carolina. We pray, God, that you bless the community members to be engaged. And, God, that you would grant it to us, oh God, those things that we need to know. The things that we need to know how to do in order to help, God, to move this city forward. God, help us at the end of the day to understand, God, that we're better together. We're stronger together. And we can move forward together and accomplish so much. Now, God, this is what we ask tonight, God, in Jesus' name. And, God, when you're done doing the work, God, we'll be oh so careful, God, to give your name the praise, the honor, and the glory. As we acknowledge, God, that we walk by faith, God, and not by sight. So, God, we're going to call it those things that are not as though they were. And we thank you now for, God, we're going to say this is a great city of Kinston, North Carolina. Help us to work together to accomplish that. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. And we all say amen.
Amen. Amen. I'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Solomon.
Present.
Councilmember Seaforth.
Present.
Councilmember Swenson.
Here.
Councilmember Suggs.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Hardy.
Present.
All present and accounted for, Madam Clerk.
Appreciate it.
Under citizen comments, citizens must sign in before the start of the meeting if they wish to address the city council. Citizens should state their name and address before beginning their comments and may speak up to a maximum of 3 minutes. Citizens seeking assistance or asking questions will be contacted by a member of our governing body or our appropriate city staff. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I will repeat our policy for citizen comments. Citizens must sign in before the start of the meeting if they wish to address the city council. Citizens should state their name and address before beginning their comments at the podium and may speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Citizens seeking assistance or asking questions will be contacted by a member of the governing body or by appropriate staff if you have left your address or a proper contact number and/or email. So, with that being said, I have LaVon Grady.
All right, Ms. Grady, to that podium.
Good afternoon. My name is LaVon Grady. I live 503 Summit Avenue here in Kinston. I'm here because I live in a neighborhood that's really not safe. 2 or 3 years ago, some lady got attacked and she was brutally beaten. So I have one problem, but I have 2 codes that I think you need to let me know whether I'm right or wrong. I have a neighbor that allowed his pastor to park the church van in his yard. Well, the yards are very close. The driveways are very close. So when I come in at night, I can't see and I can't really see during the day. And living in a crime-ridden area, you should be able to see all around you. So I want some closure on, I have been down to the decoding office, and they told me there's nothing they can do. But when I interpret the code, it seems as though there's something that can be done. And I'm here tonight to see if something can be done, and I'd like to read the code aloud if I can. The first code that I would like to read, it says performance standards. It's Article 3, it's off-street parking and off-street loading. It's a section 9.23, vehicle storage. It says residential district, vehicles intended for personal use may be parked or stored on property zoned for residential use. Commercial trucks, vans, or trailers driven home must be parked in a garage, carport, or in the driveway, or never on the street. It says inoperative vehicles, including trucks, vans, or trailers, may not be stored in a residential area. Well, my whole problem with this is, it's not the homeowner's personal vehicle. So, and it's in a commercial vehicle. So I'm trying to figure out, if it's a commercial vehicle, why is it being allowed to be stored on the property? And that was one of my biggest problems. It seemed as though commercial vehicles should be stored in a commercial area. And the pastor told me that the vehicle was inoperable, that it needs mechanical work done to it. And I'm a little concerned about that because I can't see, and that brings me to the nuisance law. And the nuisance law says, means a vehicle or public or private property that is determined and declared to be a health or safety hazard. A public nuisance and unlawful includes a vehicle found to be. Now, there's 9 categories in which nuisance fall in. And the category that I would like for y'all to take a look at tonight would be any vehicle specifically declared a health and safety hazard and a public nuisance by the city council. Well, this vehicle is stressing me out because I can't see what's around it. And I come home sometimes late at night, and this vehicle has tinted windows, so I can't see what's inside it. And then it's so big, I can't see what's around it. And I live in a neighborhood where I call has a lot of distractions. And it could be pit bulls. I can come home, it can be a pack of dogs. It could be cats or anything. So and then I'm not even including the
Thank you,
people.
Ms. Grady. I'll get somebody to follow with you, take a deeper dive on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Now, I have some, do you need, I have some, that noise was saying, I have some copies of the ordinance. Can I give that to you?
Yes, I'll get it. If you would hand it to one of our guys on the end right here, they'll get
Okay,
it from you.
all right.
Thank you much. Madam Clerk?
Laverne Strickland.
Good evening, everyone. My complaint, I live at 501 Summit Avenue. I'm there part-time. But in our neighborhood of Summit Avenue, there's a lot of elderly people there. We've noticed a lot of transient people walking through the neighborhood. It doesn't look safe. It doesn't look good. The homes across the street are abandoned. Growth has grown all over the houses. You can't even see what's going on there. LaVon is my aunt, and I understand her concern. I'm concerned about her. I'm concerned about a lot of the elderly people on my street because anything could happen. And with me not being there to oversee all the time, it's not good, not good. If y'all could, please, send someone through there, make sure that people are keeping their properties up. The abandoned houses, we got Carriage House Apartment around the corner that was burned in one of the buildings at one time. So if y'all could please just do something with that and the abandoned houses. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Edward Brown.
Mr. Brown, Edward Brown.
Apostle Nancy Wade.
Hey, everybody. My name is Nancy, Apostle Nancy Denise Strickland Wade. Hey, sister. That's what I'm talking about, family up in here. Anyway, I just came here to talk about the prayer march that we've been having for the last 12 years. And I just want to let y'all know, I want to put everybody on notice that we're going to do it. Oh, I didn't tell you where I live at. It's 404 Marcella Drive, Kinston, North Carolina, 28501. Y'all call before you come. Appreciate it. Yeah. So we're going to be doing this 12th annual prayer march, and it's about getting out there marching against those mindsets on the in low socioeconomic areas. One of the things she was talking about, another thing she was talking about, but we're talking about a whole lot of other things like gun violence. We're against gun violence, we're against gang violence, we're against poverty, and we're gonna be trying to get out there, march on these things, and get people to look and see what's really going on in the northeast, southeast side of Kinston. And I know I have a procedure to go through. That is, I gotta get it, help me out, y'all. I gotta get the sheriff. Is it the sheriff or the chief? Chief, go ahead, you in here?
You need a special event permit.
Yes, yes, yes. But you know what? The Kinston Police Department has always led us and always backed us up. Because the things that we march on and the places that we go through, we don't never know what we might run into. So I just want to tell Chief Gore, yeah, he got out there himself last year, and he led the procession. He came out there and helped us. So we need y'all to come on in and help us march around those areas, those low socioeconomic areas that got all these things going on. Drug addiction, alcoholism, people laying in the street, homeless people, abused children. This stuff is going on. Domestic violence. And so it's all over. But I've been doing the one on northeast, southeast side of Kinston. Well, we're going to get something going on over the northwest, southwest side of Kinston too, because we're going to come together as a city in the name of Jesus. That's what's going to make us better. It's when we learn how to love our neighbors, love God first, and our neighbors. I wouldn't be doing this march if I hadn't been a part of all that stuff that I'm marching about. Yeah. 32 years clean from cocaine. 32 years clean from heroin. 27 years clean from all that other stuff.
Thank you,
Homelessness.
Nancy, Apostle.
Thank you. I forgot my time.
Mayor Hardy.
October.
Madam Clerk.
What time? What time, Ms. Wade?
What time?
It's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning.
Madam Clerk, 10 o'clock in the morning, October 4th, let the record reflect. Madam Clerk, will there be any others?
Ms. Hinder Moore?
Ms. Moore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, City Councilmember and all. My name is Hinda, and I live 507 East Bright Street in Kinston. Title, Maintenance, Maintain. Our city has suffered several disastrous storms from hurricanes. The ball dropped. The city ended up having a lot of that put on them, which was never been done. Their fault. Homeowners have had a lot to do with it, not maintained. Their fault. Now, the budget. City council members, if you will, please
hire an auditor to come in, check over those monies, so we can put that to rest. It's only fair to the citizens. Time is moving on to hit the ballot box. We want to know who we are voting for. We don't want to go with, I don't know. Y'all have the power to do this. It's very crucial for us that this be done. We don't want somebody to hire somebody to come in that's going to rig our books. We want the truth. If it's correct, acceptable. Incorrect, unacceptable. That's just it. It has to stop. If we don't turn over a new leaf, we're going to only go through more change, and this city is going to suffer. It has suffered enough. Enough is enough. Some don't want to go. We might need to go. We're tired. We're tired. Coming to these city council meetings, getting nothing done, it's not acceptable. Look at our city. Run down. Look like the jungle. Why? Why? That's what all we want to know. Why? It shouldn't be. It's too many people sitting up there in the road for our city to be looking like that. I understand that y'all have to take up the burden from a homeowner that has not done their job by leaning, but that's a big word. But it's time out. You're going to have to turn over new lease because the backbone of this city has been broken. Might well face it. Might well face it. If you don't change, you're only going to go through more changes. This city cannot suffer no more, not the way it's looking. Social media, to have us on social media like this for a city we live in is deep round embarrassing. It's sad. Where is the money? Where is the money? It should not look like that. Mike Daniel Street over there, before you hit Shine Street, that big warehouse. Go look at it. Every one of you, take a look. Tell me about it when I come to your next city council meeting. It's embarrassing. It is literally embarrassing. We have city officials. What's going on? I know y'all done seen it. I seen it. Go look. It's embarrassing.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, will there be any others?
Ms. Qualla Blackwell.
Ms. Blackwell.
Good afternoon. My name is Carla Blackwell. I reside at 804 Chestnut Street. Thank you, Ms. Solomon, for, y'all, every time I come in here, y'all make that statement. If y'all can't answer a question in open comment, somebody gonna contact you. So I want to know why we got Rhonda Barwick and Jim Cawley, because I reached out. They didn't attempt to contact me at all. I even went as far as to calling him. He had the audacity to have somebody call me back and tell me to have my attorney call him. For the city of Kinston, you're the attorney. Rhonda, I left you handwritten, Althea, wrote you specifics, questions I have for you. You've yet to answer them. I'm trying to figure out where we get the answers from. That's what we're paying you for, $142,000 a year. It takes all 6 of them one time and a clone of them to make what you make. And you ignore the residents. I pay taxes. I used to be a criminal. I'm a tax-paying, multi-business owner now. And that's what you guys better stop looking at the past and look at. Now, we're asking you guys to fire them. Straight like that, y'all hired them. She asking y'all where the money? That's where the money at. In a city like Kinston, this city ran down. $142,000? She thinks she worth that? Let her take her show somewhere else. Let him take his show somewhere else. We don't need them. Y'all hired them. And then she's in turn hiring all these other people that mean us no good. Because Chief Goyette, I'm not impressed. I watched with my own 2 eyes officers beat an unconscious man, and he sent me a letter saying that use of force was acceptable. If that's acceptable, we don't need him neither. You guys got a chance to do it, or we're coming in November to do it for you.
Madam Clerk, will there be any others?
Ms. Winnie Morgan.
Ms. Morgan.
Excuse my appearance. My name is Winnie Morgan, and I live at 902 Savannah Lane. My concern is the neighborhoods. You can't even walk on the sidewalks. It's ridiculous the way you guys have allowed this city to look. The grass has overgrown the houses. It's ridiculous the way our neighborhoods are looking. I mean, if you're not gonna fix the houses up, tear them down. I know you guys were talking about trying to sell the houses that were up for auctions or whatever. But if they're not fixable and livable, tear them down. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. I'm embarrassed to say I am from Kinston, North Carolina. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. You could do better than that. And like she said about the brutality, all this, it was forced, it was necessary. Bullshit, excuse my language, bullshit. Come on, y'all. It's not right. And you know it. Treat human beings like that. We're human. Where's the dignity? That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Clerk, will there be any others?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. On the adoption of the agenda, if a council member wishes to revise the agenda, the motion to add or delete an item will be entertained before the adoption of the agenda. Will there be any others? Anybody? All right. Having said that, entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
So moved by Councilmember Swenson, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hardy. Under discussion. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. On the minutes. Madam Clerk, would you like to entertain?
No, sir.
All right. As stated in the minutes, minutes will be presented at the next meeting. Under public hearing, consideration of a developer agreement with Smart Kinston Foundation. Director Elizabeth Blount.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight we're going to continue the discussion about the developers agreement for 800 Manning Street, which is the old Glen Raven Mill. Just want to give you some factual information concerning this. Staff submitted a request for proposals to purchase and redevelop the Glen Raven Mills property in January of 2024. The property is located at 800 Manning Street in the Mitchelltown Arts and Cultural District. Staff conducted a tour in February with individuals who were interested in the property. The request closed in March of 2024 with only one submittal, and that was from Smart Kinston Foundation. Per the submitted proposal, Smart Kinston would like to redevelop the property into a vibrant cultural hub that celebrates the arts and fosters community engagement. Some noted examples were outdoor music festivals, concerts, art exhibits, and provide facilities for recreational activities such as BMX, mountain bike, and skateboarding Olympic training facility. The property, once again, is located in the Mitchelltown Arts and Cultural District. It is approximately 12 acres and includes 3 structures, an approximately 100,000 square foot mill, an approximately 1,200 small brick office building, and an approximately 20,200 square foot larger ancillary building. The property is zoned industrial. Direction from the site zoning districts adjacent to nearby land uses is to the north, B1 and RA6, which is residential. To the south, I1, industrial. To the east, RA5 and RA6, which is residential. And to the west, industrial. As far as land uses, to the north is a church and single-family dwellings. To the south is a wooded lot in the Neuse River. To the east, a church and single-family dwellings. And to the west, social house vodka in the old power plant. A copy of the agreement has been available in the city clerk's office for several weeks for review prior to this meeting, and it is also a part of your meeting package. The public notice was published in the Kinston Free Press on August 17th and 14th. Letters were sent to adjacent property owners within 200 feet of the property. A public hearing sign was also placed on the property, and per 160D General Statute, the continuance of the public hearing did not constitute a re-advertising. Here is a video of the top of the building submitted by Smart Kinston. This is drone footage. As you can see, there's a lot of deterioration to the rooftop. So at this time, I just want to highlight the factual points of the development agreement. The developer has 120 days due diligence period, and what that means is that he can conduct any inspections, evaluations, and investigations of the property. The developer has 120 days from conveyance of the property to secure building permits. The developer is responsible for all construction, rehabilitation, repairs, and improvements to the property. All work should be completed by July 31st, 2027. The developer shall invest a minimum of $2.5 million to redevelop the property. The developer must abide by the Brownfield Agreement and certain land use restrictions. And as you all know, that was a mill, and so there are some brownfield with some groundwork that needs to be taken care of. So that would be part of the developer's responsibility. The city will convey the property without cost and does not promise or assure that it will provide any staffing or funding in connection with the developer's intended operations or use of the property. The developer shall operate the property for a minimum of 10 years and shall not reconvey the property without consent. The property will be conveyed as is, and the agreement exists for 20 years and can be extended with permission from City Council. Your meeting package included the entire development agreement, which includes the complete proposal and the entire Brownfield agreement and restrictions, along with the resolution that will go with the development agreement. I'll be happy to try and answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Madam Director. Any questions from the council as it relates to this? The public hearing was open since last meeting. Any words from the council as it pertains to this conveyance and in regards to the stipulations put in place and are recommended? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Director, do you wish anything further?
No, sir.
All right. Well, having said that, the public hearing is now closed. Yield it back to the council. Anything from the council as it relates to this particular property before we move to the question?
Mayor Hardy, this is up for action tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I just want to share, and I shared these concerns prior to our last meeting when the public hearing was on the agenda via email with you all. And did hear from some of you that you shared agreement, also had some concerns. I still think there's a lack of details and actionable plans for a project of this magnitude. We're talking about a 12-acre site that requires a lot more than $2.5 million in investment to truly rehabilitate. Like, that probably might be the remediation work for the Brownsfields, or for to actually just start repairing the roof might be a $2 million roof for a facility of that large. And so I know that we've considered other type of conveyance agreements and developer agreements in the past that we've given a lot more scrutiny and consideration to than we've had in terms of dialogue we provided to this. Most recently, I'm thinking about the consideration we gave to the property on Bright Street at the old Rainer Supermarket. The individuals, Mr. Laws and his team, submitted entire business plans and schematics and everything, and we went back and forth for a few months about that. Like, that level of thoughtfulness and intentionality needs to be given to a project of this magnitude, and there's still, a lot of questions that just haven't necessarily been answered. We did receive I think a 5 or 6 paragraph narrative in the developer agreement. We got an updated version today that's still, 5 paragraphs or so. There's a lot more details that needs to go into a developer agreement of this magnitude. I want us to take that into consideration. I want us to make sure that we're being thoughtful on the impact that a facility like this might have on the surrounding neighborhood, the surrounding environment. It is a flood-prone property as well. So there's so much to be considered. The fact that the original agreement mentioned the Renaissance Fair coming there, and apparently the folks who organized the Renaissance Fair didn't even know that they were included in this until I posted about the agenda the day of the last meeting. And then, so this updated agreement no longer includes the Renaissance Fair. And I think that drastically changes the scope of one of our considerations. When we were previously considering this, it was talking about upgrading the facility so that it can host an event that brings in 6,000 or 7,000 people into our community. That's a huge economic impact for our downtown. That's a positive. Also a lot of considerations around traffic and parking and stuff like that, but that could be a huge boost for our local economy. Now that that event isn't included in this, that changes the scope of what we should be considering. So I'm not in a position right now where I would feel comfortable for us moving forward with this. I do believe that Smart Kinston is an organization that has shown themselves qualified to do redevelopment projects, and they care a lot about the surrounding neighborhood, and I would want to see them actually be the ones to rehabilitate this. But I just wanted to be done thorough and planned out, just like we had with the Rainer's property, with the community health center and the old shirt factory site. Like, we've given a lot of planning to other projects in the past. We need to give that same thoughtfulness to this initiative.
Thank you, Councilman Suggs. Any other members from the council, if you'd like to interject?
Mr. Mayor, just piggyback a little bit on what Councilman Suggs stated about the community over there in that area. They do have concerns about the parking, and I didn't see anything in here that addresses that. So just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Before we move on, Madam Clerk, did you get any responses via online as it pertains to this particular property?
No, sir.
Anything from the council? Any further? Councilmember Swenson, you recognize.
Mayor, concerns same here, but the question would be, with the 120 days, Tim, that he has, because he hasn't been able to get inside the building, his engineers and structural guys to take a solid look at the building and see what was going to be necessary. So in that 120 days, it's possible that he could get in there and see that it's not doable, feasible for his project, and want to turn around and walk away, correct?
And see, so even with that, I'm grateful that we included the 120-day due diligence period in the agreement. Something we did in the past, and that's what I shared with you all prior to the last meeting, for us to consider would be the MOU that we did with the Kinston Community Health Center for the old shirt factory site. It gives them a strong agreement saying that the city is committed to working with you on this project. We want to see this become a reality. Here's something in writing for you to take to your funders, your partners, to be able to say that, the land is there, the site is there, get everything together so that when time is ready, we can move forward with the conveyance and the deed. We have options like that we've done in the past. I don't see why we should change up things differently and immediately enter into an agreement conveying a property of this magnitude, even much bigger than the shirt factory site. We know it's require a lot more money than the shirt factory site. And the funding commitments haven't necessarily been described of, who's partnering, who's paying for what. In the developer agreement we got, When it mentions the BMX bike facility, it says that with support, including the Kinston Lenoir County Parks and Recreation Department. You know, we haven't allocated any money in our budget to that project yet. You know, I know we want to see it successful like anybody else, but, you know, the project actually includes kind of an expectation that the city and county are going to support this initiative. So that's something else for us to consider. Like, even if we decide to at some point, like, get that in writing from us or from the county before we go forward with an agreement like this, when the funding commitments just haven't been written down.
Any further discussion as it relates to the particular parcel?
Mayor, I would just say, does any other council members have any concerns, or do they want to see anything tweaked or brought back before we try to make a decision on this?
I think that was touched on slightly by Councilmember Suggs. I believe what we probably need to do at this very point in time is to take a look at tabling the actual parcel until we can actually conclude the totality of what we're looking for. However, so that's the way it sounds from the consensus of the council by what I'm hearing currently. So I think we probably need to take a look at tabling the option, but that's going to be entirely up to council which direction we flow. So the options would be tabling it until a further date, until we can get more things that we would like to see placed inside of the particular opportunity that we may have at the Raven Mills location. But there's going to be definitely some dialogue that needs to take place to make sure that we got everything that we need as it relates from the city attorney and or Smart Kinston, however, which I think Smart Kinston is a great organization, and they have the capability and the will and know how to do something with the property. And besides, I don't think anyone is saying that this property shouldn't be conveyed to Smart Kinston. I believe it's about the approach and the way that we move forward as it relates to the blueprint, the whole layout as it pertains to the actual property. I actually for it as well because there's no person that has actually even submitted a bid whatsoever in the last 7 to 8 years. So bring some perspective to that. So either we could entertain a motion to table this. I think that's probably the best direction until we get what we need. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Please just state the motion. State the motion.
Motion, we table the development agreement till a later date.
All right, that motion is on the floor. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and properly second. So moved by Councilmember Swenson, seconded by Councilmember Suggs. Under discussion. Under discussion. Under discussion. Having said that, also we had to take a look at a date in the future. Hopefully, at the next meeting, just figure out how we could get this all put together. So we have staff to take a look at it, a Madam Director or the Mr. Attorney, however, a Madam Manager. We'll look at it and figure out where we can put it back on the agenda once everybody is ready to go. Having said that, all those in favor say aye.
Mayor, I'm sorry, before
Under discussion.
go to
Go.
vote, yeah, for discussion.
Under discussion.
So what impact does that have on individuals who may have come out tonight for the public hearing to speak?
Well, the public hearing has been open since the last meeting. If there's any other concerns, when we come back to the next meeting, we can open up another public hearing, however, if we want to address any other concerns moving forward. As I do appreciate the team at Smart Kinston for coming tonight. As you saw it, I believe you already know exactly what the deal is. So as we move forward, you will have the opportunity again, or any other person in the community that might want to come out and voice their concerns as it relates to parking, et cetera, in that particular area at the next meeting that we put on the agenda. Any further discussion?
So, Mr. Attorney, we have to re-publicize this for a public hearing again if we're going to future date.
You don't have to have another public hearing. If you'd like to, you certainly can.
state tonight, or you can state tonight what date you want to put it on, back on the agenda.
Mr. Tim, if the actual agreement itself changes in any way, for example, if, I would love to see more of a timeline or some actual drawings or commitments if we do an actual developer agreement. What I'm saying is we probably don't need to enter into a developer agreement right away until we have that stuff, and I'm sure until he has had more of an opportunity to do more due diligence. But if we do actually have changes to the developer agreement, wouldn't that have to be re-advertised for a public hearing?
If there's changes to the agreement as it is, I would recommend re-advertise
Okay.
for a public hearing. Yes, sir. And one general comment about parking and different things. One of the covenants and restrictions that's an exhibit to this agreement that's in the agenda packet includes that the property will comply with all state and local zoning and building codes and city ordinances as well. So if there's limits on parking spaces, that property would be under that jurisdiction, would continue to have to comply with those sorts of things.
Right.
That's a good question, a good point.
All right. Having said that, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Point of clarity, Mayor.
Yes.
I heard a lot, and I was trying to jot down the things that we need to discuss with the developer. Impact on surrounding area, we want to address that. Mitigation for the flood area. Drawings, timelines, make sure they address the parking. Have an MOU that has more substance, that the city is committed to work with them, but have some hard pressed timelines that we want to see, to include funding sources. Such things, if we're going to include or incorporate the BMX, that we have a solid agreement with our Recs and Parks Department, both with the city of Kinston and Lenoir County.
Yes.
Was there anything else that I'm missing that we need to discuss with the developer, so that when we come back the next time, we have a solid plan before you?
I think that is sufficient for sure. Anything from the council, I think she hit everything because I wrote just about all of that down. Anything further from the council?
And by all means, of course, council, you feel free to just email us if there's something else that comes up. But we just want to make sure that next time we come, that we have a solid plan before you.
Thank you, Director Blount. All right. Item number 1, consider adoption of the Neuse River Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan Resolution. Director Blount.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
As we are all aware, that North Carolina has encountered a lot of hazardous weather. So the Neuse River Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan is a compilation of 5 counties. It includes Greene, Jones, Lenoir, Pitt, and Wayne counties. And it's really a comprehensive plan on ways of preparing and handling hazardous situations. This plan is actually an update from the 2020 regional plan, and it is an analysis of what we have done and some suggested changes within those counties. This is not a how-to plan, so it's not going to be something that we can go and say, do step 1, A, B, C, and D. But it gives a broad perspective of how surrounding counties are planning for hazards, even beyond flooding. This plan is a must-have in order for us to be eligible for any hazard mitigation grants or other disaster-related assistance funding. So as you see, it includes dam failure, floods, wildfires, drought, and even severe winter weather. Included in your package was the Mitigation Action Plan for Kinston and Lenoir County and the FEMA hazard maps. So I will be happy to answer anything, any questions. You also have a resolution that must be approved and adopted tonight in order for us to go forth and put this mitigation plan on our actual website for individuals to review.
Thank you, Director Blount. I do appreciate you and your efforts in the surrounding counties for looking at this and updating it. It's something that we need to make sure we have at the forefront because we're no stranger to disasters that take place as it relates to hurricanes, floods, Anything from the council as it relates to this adoption of the hazard mitigation plan resolution?
And Mayor, if I can, we also had our fire department that was included in this review, and our public service, who has a whole lot of experience with this more than I do, so if they want to chime in on anything, I avail my time to them.
All right.
Yep. And I'll just add too, just for clarity to the community, this plan was compiled over a few years actually, and there were several public input opportunities too that folks had. There was an online survey component, I believe, and they hosted a few different meetings. Here in Lenoir County, I think one in Kinston and one in LaGrange, and then the surrounding counties as well. So there was a level of community input into the creation of this mitigation plan.
All right. Any further comments from the council as it relates to this? I hear none, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hardy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Swenson. Under discussion. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Director. Action item number 2, consider Kinston Lenoir County Parks and Recreation Master Plan presentation and approval. Director Scott Alston.
Hope council's doing well tonight. Tonight, we are here, with McGill and Associates. As you know, the master plan was approved in 2024 jointly by Kinston and Lenoir County to evaluate our park system and to compose our comprehensive master plan for the next 10-year cycle. What this does is it uses a guide for the next 10 years for capital improvements, for staffing, programs. It's all inclusive of those. It gives recommendations. We're here tonight with McGill, and McGill will present in a few minutes. And I'd just like to recognize Steve Oliver, our chair, is here for Recreation Commission. And they were previewed this document at our last Recreation Commission. And this document will be, if approved tonight, it'll be going into effect for our next cycle. So it'll give us that guide here on out for the next 10 years. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce, this is Jim Ford, and he will be from McGill and Associates.
Thanks, Scott. This is my clicker. Okay. Excellent. I am Jim Ford. I'm from McGill Associates. I was the recreation consultant that worked on your comprehensive recreation master plan. I learned a lot about your community. I learned a lot about Lenoir County as well as the city. I have a report that I want to convey to you what I learned and why it's important to have a plan like this. Moving ahead. Ooh, we went the wrong way. That's all right. I'm going to start off with an understanding of what recreation is, what parks are. Parks are our community. It's not where we live, but it's where we live. You see what I'm saying? It's where we meet. It's where our friends, we have events, our history, et cetera. It's important places. And I've actually been quite blessed to learn a lot about your system. Stands out among many. I've done this for 25 years in North Carolina. I've looked at a lot of different systems. I've helped a lot of systems find funding to implement improvements. But I want to challenge you a bit to understand the difference between parks as an expense and parks as an investment. You know, we can say our parks are something we put money in and we hope to get something out of. We can say, hey, we're going to invest in it. And why? Because it's about quality of life. It doesn't just affect us as individuals. It affects the bottom line to some degree. When you have businesses, and I have some stats here, this is boring. You don't have to read all that. The long and short of it is, if we don't take care of the places that are within our community, our civic places, businesses that want to move here notice that. And they're less likely to want to invest in us if we don't invest in ourselves. Moving on. I mentioned I have helped a lot of communities get grants. The last few years have been a little challenging. As all of us who've been to the grocery store could attest, things are expensive, and they don't seem to be getting any less expensive. But what I'm trying to say is while grants still exist, and I think you are poised to get those grants, adopting a recreation plan, especially a comprehensive plan, sets you up to be able to be competitive in those grant processes. If you don't have an adopted plan, you're more likely to get overlooked for other communities that have done that. But you have invested in your community. You have a great system. You've invested in this plan, and I've got a lot to share with you. But what I want to remind you, that black box, because things are more expensive than they've ever been, you cannot rely on grants alone. You have to consider, years ago, we invested in what we have, and it may be time to reassess and start investing again. To what degree, that's your prerogative. But what I've done in this plan is taken the voices of the people, academic knowledge on recreation planning, and tried to present you a plan that not only gives you recommendations on what do we need to improve, how big, and when. And that's hard to do because it really comes down to funding. And while this is a plan full of great recommendations, and it does cover a huge span of 10 years, it's not likely that any community is going to be able to implement everything. This is pie in the sky. A plan is not a promise. It doesn't mean we're going to have to do this. We have to do it or else because you adopted it. That's not it at all. What it's saying is that you've done your due diligence, you've spoken to the people, and you've consulted and figured out what do we need to do next. It's just a guide to help you make decisions. I was with the county this morning. It's a joint system. I think I've met a lot of beautiful people. They agreed more investment is probably needed. What's that going to look like? We're going to look at this a little bit. Benchmarking. Why is that important? Well, because all these grantors that want to provide these grants want to know that we've done true due diligence. Did you compare this community to others? The National Parks and Recreation Association provides lots of stats and data. It's kind of boring. Somebody like me finds it exciting. I'm a dork. But anyway, where are you on that? You're not the lowest. You're not. You're not the highest either. Very few are. But you are slightly under that national median. What that means is that other communities your size, you're spending slightly less. But that's because you've been blessed with a wonderful system. You haven't had to in a long time. And I heard that in my public meetings. People came out. Some of y'all probably were there during Christmas parade, the tree lighting. Maybe you were at one of the schools I went to. Long and short of it is, there's a need to improve. We're going to have to spend a little more money. Now, what I'm showing you here, I took out of order. I had this back in the survey. I actually had a question in the survey where I asked the public, do you think they're spending enough money on parks, and do they really know? Very few of us really know what's being spent. But the perception was that 1.9, that's below average. People say they're not spending enough. Now, I'm going to be honest. I've done this for 25 years in North Carolina. I always get a result like that. Whether we are spending enough, too much, or not enough, we never think we are, okay? But the truth is, when you ask people, what do you think they should spend? It's nearly double that. And honestly, I've been doing this long enough to know that's the right answer, folks. We should spend more, but how much? It's a case-by-case basis. Over here, this is a little more granularity. I've got a statistician that works with me who gets real excited about breaking data down. You know, when asked, where should the money come from? Most of us don't know these funds. We see these selections on a survey, and we do our best to make educated guesses, but it's very much in line with what I'm used to seeing. But people agree we should probably spend more money. Why? Because you have a great system. It's been well loved, almost loved to death. Any of us that go to the basketball courts and the recreation centers can see Scott's done a fantastic job. The rec department has offered us things that benefit our life, but they're kind of old. Sometimes the ACs don't work. Sometimes the floors need to be polished, but that's something we handle over time, right? Well, let's compare you to other things here. The camera is a little weird, but benchmarking acreages. That's, do we have enough parks? Well, it's like Pintos and Cadillacs, right? I mean, you can have little parks that have tons of things in them, and you can have lots of big parks that don't offer you anything. But what I'm trying to say here is you are slightly under that national median again, but you're pretty close. But I will say you're blessed. Your indoor programming, your indoor facilities, I've been to few communities that can match what you have. Now, that's old. It's been doing this a long time. It took time to get this blessing, this big investment. But it might be time to start investing in those same places. What I've got over here on the right, folks, that's saying where are the parks we have in our system. It is a joint system, county and city. The predominance of parks are within the city. We're lucky. Out in the county, though, they do have things. And this plan does recommend that you have at least one more park outside the city, if not 2 or 3. Okay, but let's look at this a little more detail. What do we have more than most people? Or are we above benchmark? Everything you see in blue here, the joint tennis pickleball. I don't know how many of y'all have ever played tennis or pickleball, but you got a lot of them, and people appreciate them. Disc golf, golf courses, rec centers, community centers that don't have gyms, amphitheater, nature center, great nature center. If you hadn't been there, you should. Aquatic center, holy smokes, do you have a nice one? One of the best I've ever seen in the state, matter of fact, and you got that stadium. At benchmark, where are we meeting what most communities have? Basketball courts, community garden, dedicated pickleball courts, dog park and teen center. How many people play pickleball? Yeah, right? It's growing. You're going to hear more and more about it. Michael Jordan invested in pickleball. I guarantee you we're going to hear more about it. But that teen center, we're going to get to that too. But where are we below? Now look at these items. You got baseball, softball fields, multi-purpose fields for football, lacrosse, soccer, et cetera. Multi-use courts, those gym areas that are striped for more than one thing. Playgrounds and inclusive playgrounds. That was a little interesting to me, because you have a lot of playgrounds, but you are, for your population and your size, you could use a few more. Over here on the right, it's basically the data that's in that plan. The plan is very detailed. It is a comprehensive plan. I'm not going to bore you tonight with 300 pages of facts and data. The long and short of it is, where you are below, these are things that you traditionally want to see in a department. More fields, more courts. Now, how do I know some of this stuff? Well, I did compare you to actual data. You've got a great department that collects that data on what we have in inventory, but also wanted to go out and speak to the people. You can't make decisions for people unless you ask people. Now, that, just like any other public, outreach, you hope people show up, and folks did show up. I mean, I was at the Christmas parade, and I had people come over and say, I can't believe they're even asking us what we want. Well, of course they are. It's your community. So credit these folks for asking us to ask y'all. It's a good thing. But we had 383 households take that survey. Everybody's got different numbers of people in their houses. Overall, it's about 900 people that provided input. I wish everybody would. I wish that for every community I go to. But I was honored to know that this many people showed up. Now, also, in those public meetings, where did we go? I mentioned before the parade. I mentioned before the tree lighting. That was great. But, not everybody has the time to go to a festival. Not everybody has the time in their schedule to go to a meeting. So I went to a couple schools. I said, well, send me to the schools. Let me talk to the principals. I went out there with signs, holding up, come talk to me. And I had a lot of people come talk to me. Why? These are our moms, our dads, our people with kids that are too busy to do things. They're either working or they're parenting. They don't have time to go to meetings. So I went to 2 meetings for their benefit. And I heard just as much input in those occasions as I did the others. I provided marketing cards, little cards that y'all might have had them. Passed them out and said, please use your phone, wave it against that QR code, take that survey. Also had paper surveys. If you don't have a computer at home, here's a paper survey. Why do I do that? Because when you go to the state, you want to get a Parks Recreation Trust Fund grant, if all you did was digital, you're not as competitive as the community that also offered it on paper. I did everything I could to make you competitive, and I think you are. Overall, though, it was well advertised. You may recognize that sign. People showed up, and I'm proud of the information we got. The number one thing I want to leave you with about this survey, I heard thank you. I don't need to hear thank you. Why are they thanking me? I don't go to communities that often that say, hey, we're really happy with what we got. I wish they'd invest a little bit more and take care of it. But dang, it was nice of you to even ask. I don't get that. You've got a nice group of people that live here that really do appreciate it. And I felt like I needed to share that with you because I've done this for 25 years and I've not heard that before. So thank you for giving me that experience. What did those 2 boards look like I held up? Y'all might have seen these if you took the visual preference. I had a big old whiteboard that allowed you to write anything you thought was missing from these boards. And then I gave you 3 stickers and I said, hey, tell me what you think are the most important things you'd love to see. Maybe you've already got it, you want to keep it, maybe you want to see it added. The long and short of it is, you know why I do these? Because I want you to talk to me. It's hard to just walk up to a stranger, especially somebody as crazy as me, and talk to them about what you like and don't like, okay? It's hard to have trust. But when I get you to start looking at these pictures and telling me, well, when I was a kid, I did such, I wish we had more of that. Well, now I'm learning, see? So that's a prop. The top 5 things that came out of that. Playgrounds, there it is again. Remember in that pink, we said what's lacking? People said we need more playgrounds. So I think the people realized they would love to have more playgrounds. It was both in the survey and I heard it in that public comment. Adventure play area, why is that up there? Why is it even number 2? Because if you've been to Raleigh, you've been to the bigger cities, you'll notice that's a trending type of recreation. It's like tree houses and rope swings, and you know what I'm talking about. But it's a kind of playground. Multi-purpose greenways and hike and biking paths. Trails and playgrounds have always been the number 1 and number 2 things in North Carolina I see rise up in the list, and you're no different. There it is again. But that number 4 tied with tot lot. What's a tot lot but a playground for little kids? So there's that playground again. People want to see playgrounds. Last, outdoor basketball court. Remember in that we said we have basketball courts, but we need more. Why? Because it's North Carolina. It's a basketball state. We need places to play. Now, you got good gyms. You've got good indoor areas. You might want to invest in a few more outdoor basketball courts. Gives people more things to do. You know what they say about idle hands? Let's keep us busy, right? Now, in that survey, I literally asked, what do you want to see added? Now, we had that visual preference where people could vote, and we had those conversations, but literally on the survey, I directly asked from a huge list, and you could write in things you thought were missing. So it's really open to everything. The number one on both the county and the city residents, because I'm able to say, here's what the city folks said, here's what the county folks said. Indoor programming. Because you have great indoor areas and indoor programming now. But what's different? Well, they're aging. We want to see more investment in them. And our community demographics have changed slightly. We're an aging country. We're an aging state. We're an aging community. The folks that were involved in the programs 10, 20 years ago, they want to continue to be involved. That means more senior programming. For families, that may need more teen programming. Regardless, indoor programming was at the top of the minds of pretty much everybody that took that survey. And the rest of these is just a mix. You put them in any order you want. They are in order in which I found them. Pool, number 2. Remember when we benchmarked about pool? I know it's sad when a pool goes down, but you guys have more pools and nicer things than I see in most communities this size. And I was really honored. But that's a discussion for another day. People said that that's something they love. Don't take my pool away. Why are you asking about recreation? You're not going to take our great pool away, are you? I said, that's not my decision. I don't think that's the case. But thank you for expressing your love for pools. That's cool. There's that playground tot lot again on the city side. We need more playgrounds, tot lots, greenways and trails, as I promised. Playgrounds and trails are always at the top. There's that adventure again. I explained that. Pickleball. Y'all play pickleball yet? Did I ask y'all that already? Yeah. I hear it every day, pickleball. It's kind of fun, actually. Gymnasiums, because you have them and they love them and they want them taken care of. Let's go back. My goodness. Okay. Picnic areas, because they're perennial favorites. Remember I talked about it's our community, it's where we do our thing. Without picnic areas, it's hard to host a family reunion. Basketball courts, there it is again. People love their basketball and they want to see more of it. Bike trails, that was kind of interesting. But then again, hey, bikes are cool. Kind of the same things over here for the county residents, the addition of the football fields, et cetera, and soccer fields. Remember that question where it said, do we have enough? And I discovered through the inventory that you were lacking in those things. By only a few fields, it's not a lot. But people notice it. They noticed it. Now, this plan's about that thick, and it's very boring, unless you're somebody like me that loves this stuff. What I've attempted to do in this presentation, which you will have a copy of as well as the plan, is break down the recommendations that are provided. Remember, these recommendations are to help guide decisions. They're not promises to do anything. I broke them down by alphabetical order in this, and I will try real hard to go through these 6 slides and not bore you all. Access and accessibility, immediate. I think it's important because it's the law that places are accessible to all. Does that mean they have to be today? I don't think the law reads that way. I'm not an attorney, but I think they would tell you it's about trying to be and not quitting and keep planning and trying, right? Budgetary. You do have a great rec commission. I met them. They're really wonderful. They helped me write this plan with their advice and their experiences. But I think we need to do better. We need to meet at least once a year, the city and the county, the commission, the staffs, and they need to say, hey, where were we last year and where do we want to be next year? And in this plan, I've written some tools in to help facilitate that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Environmental, because you do have the Neuse and you have other areas. We want to protect our soil and water. You're already investing in this in other departments. Just remember, your parks is where we see it. That's when we see, when you have a developer that's giving you a hard time. If you do it right at your parks, you can say, hey, don't argue with me. Go to the park and see how it's supposed to be done. And that's what we expect, right? So it's an opportunity to show what your rules are. Facilities in general, most of those are mid-range. You do have a couple long-range. This is about saying, hey, yeah, you do need a couple more parks. Probably outside the city, really, because your area is growing as a county as a whole. I think your city is very, flush with lots of things. They do need reinvestment. But a couple new. Expanded trails, we'll get into that in a little bit, and Blueway access, why not? We've got a river, let's use it. Let's have more ways to use it. Remember I talked about marketing and getting businesses to come here? A lot of them would love to know you've got water access. You can get a canoe in there, you can go catfishing, that's cool. Let's do that. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Playground updates, because you do have a number of playgrounds, and since playgrounds rose to the top of the list, I'd be remiss not to put that on there as an important recommendation. Indoor facility assessments. I work with Scott. I understand which gyms need, help. I know which buildings are, need a little more work than others, but that's something that you should do. That should be a long-term thing. Why? Because you shouldn't stop doing it. You should always assess what we have and how do we make it better. Cultural and teen spaces. Well, I heard a lot about teens and the lack of things to do. I think you've got actually a lot more to do here than other communities, so you should count your blessings. But I think more is on in order. Upgrades based on those assessments. That means put the money what you discover. If you find that something's broke, if it's too hot to use a gym, I can't use it. It might be expensive to fix. At least have a plan, and that's what this is. It's a plan saying, hey, We know what needs to be done, and we're going to get to it when the funding comes available. Maintenance. Well, honestly, that could summarize this entire plan. We've got a great system. We have a lot of things, but we need to take care of what we have. Okay? Let's take care of what we have. Can you do it all at once? No. It's going to take time. This is a 10-year plan. I'm hoping in 10 years we'll address all this. Playground equipment inspections, immediate. Why? Because it's a law. Playgrounds have to be safe. There's literally rules on no rusty bolts hanging out, fall zones that won't break your legs when you fall off of things. They're doing a good job of it now, just so you know. But don't stop. Keep doing a good job. GIS informed routing. What in the world is that? Well, you have GIS capabilities. You've already invested in that. You've got maintenance that it requires to go all over the county fixing things. GIS capabilities that are already being paid for can be tapped to help manage where should we go first, second, third, so that in a course of a day, I'm not going back and forth and spending 8 hours doing 2 hours worth of work. I can use the GIS information to get double the work done, maybe. But smart routing can be done with what you've already invested in. Marketing. About half the people I spoke to didn't know you had certain things. You've invested in wonderful things. This is a better community than some people know it really is because they're not aware. Where are the signs? Where are the programs? You guys need to raise your own flag and say, look what we've got here. Okay? Unified signage and branding, I think you're doing a pretty good job of that, but in the short range, reassess that, make sure all parks look the same. They all have the same kind of sign, et cetera. Why? It's all about that marketing. It's showing your strength. It's showing what you've already invested in. Let the public know we are trying. And instructor recruitment. You don't always have to hire new staff for new programs. Sometimes you can say, hey, let's get a concessionaire. Zumba's a good example. I got a room, you teach classes. You want a free space to do it? I'll tell you what, let's give you a discounted rental rate. You get to charge what you want. And now my public has a new program. I didn't have to hire a new staff person for. I had the space and I made a lease agreement with them. That happens. That's a way to expand your programming. Visitor attraction, you got a lot of cool things here. Promote them. Promote them. Organizational, okay? Enhance community engagement and feedback. What does that mean? That means this process was so engaging. And so many people came out to tell me how great what they had was, and please don't take it away. Please invest more money in it. What if we did this once a year? What if we asked people once a year, hey, what's missing? What needs improvement? What do you hear? That's a hard thing to do, but I hope over 10 years y'all figure out how to do that. It's really important. That's why I made it a long-range goal. Improve your digital infrastructure. Vectors for communication. You know what? That GIS I mentioned, y'all could have a GIS map, and you do. Make it easier for people to use on their phones so that when, hey, the seniors are having a such and such, it pops up on my phone. I get a notification based off that GIS map. Well, where did it come from? Oh, it came from the rec center. Cool. Did you tell the neighbors about that? You've already got the structure to do this. Organize it and use it. Parklands. Adjacent property acquisition. What does that mean? That means land's expensive and it's not getting any cheaper. We know we have a lot of parks. We don't need a whole lot of new ones. But guess what? We're going to continue to grow. If the property next door to a park comes for sale, seriously consider how can we acquire that piece of property. Why? Because it's probably going to need to be expanded in the future, and it's cheaper to expand the existing park than to have to build a whole nother one someplace else. All right? 2 parks, Caswell and King. Everybody better have a Caswell site? What a cool site to redevelop. We talked about how that could be an important civic space, a meeting place, a place for all of us to gather. That's a good one. And you've actually got some property I talked with the county about, the King property, that maybe in the future could host some expansion of these extra fields and extra things we need, because land is expensive, and I think that one's already tapped. Why not develop it? Continuing on with those partnerships, I won't beat this one down other than to say, like I said before, your hospitals, your school system, businesses, concessionaires that teach classes, these are all your potential partners. These aren't things that you're buying. These are people that you're working with. Leverage, okay, leverage. Same with partner programs, cross-departmental collaboration, public works, the fire department, police, work with them. Health department, there's monies in those that can all be shared to make these programs successful. Policies, environmental policies, well, like I mentioned before, it's a good place to say, hey, we do it right. This is the way it's supposed to be done, and our environment here is important to us. Arts and culture, because it is. You've done a lot of that. I see a lot of art around the city. Thank you. It's beautiful. I see the music. I've been to the festivals. That is so cool. That's something I will remember. That's something that makes me remember Kinston. Do more of that. That's that marketing, right? Not to mention it improves our quality of life. The programs immediately, all the way across the board, are super important, as I've already mentioned, but that encouraged volunteerism. We had focus group meetings. Mayor Pro Tem, were you in my focus group meeting? I think you were. We talked about behavior at ball games. Why are these kids cussing at each other and pushing and fighting? Why don't we have enough volunteers that want to come out here and help us manage this? Well, because they're cussing and pushing. You know, stuff happens. But guess what? I also heard in that same conversation, we got seniors at the senior center that need things to do. We got old folks sitting that don't have anything to do. Well, I bet they played ball when they were young, and I bet they wouldn't act the way some of these young kids do. Why are they not being asked to come volunteer and help? Gives them something to do and gives the kids somebody to look up to. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Let's take the folks that need something to do and ask them to volunteer at the ball games. They love baseball, football, basketball. They love it. Let's respect that experience. Okay? Safety. Across the board, all structures need to be assessed. I think it's the law anyway, but I think we need to do a better job of looking at it and trying to figure out where improvements need to be made. I'm not an architect. I couldn't tell you, but I know that you can do that. Pedestrian safety, that's lighting. That's making sure the hedges are cut to where they're safe. You know, we don't want hidey places. And they're already doing a good job of that, but they need to keep doing it. It's expensive, y'all. It's hard to get to. So be patient. But it's important that we keep trying. Park surveillance, if you want, that's not just cameras, by the way. And that's something easier to do now than ever. But that's eyes on the street. That's tapping your community and saying, hey, let's meet once a year. Why don't you come out? You represent the such and such. What have you been seeing? And give voice to the folks that are eyes on the street. That's a kind of surveillance, too. Staffing, I'm going to tell you, with change and with growth, and you are growing, if you have more, you have to have more people. So keep that in mind, too. What's that look like? The plan does do a pretty good job of offering proposes different scenarios for staffing. I know that's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but nonetheless, I'd be remiss to say you don't need more staff, you do. Walkability, okay, so you've got a pedestrian plan. I looked at it. It's fantastic. Implement it. Just like this recreation plan. Go for it. On the county side, they do have a transportation plan. I kind of felt like it was lacking in details as far as pedestrians go. I did recommend that the county invest in their own pedestrian plan for those areas outside the city to be able to acquire funding, to pave trails, to build sidewalks, et cetera. Doesn't guarantee you're going to get it, but you should keep trying. Now, what's all this crazy stuff? You're not going to be able to read that, folks, and I know that. But in the plan, there's multiple pages where I take the recommendations. Remember, this is a guidebook. It doesn't promise anything. But what I've attempted to do is take all those things that we can fix and figure out in today's dollars, because I'm also responsible for actually designing and building parks. I get contractors give me bids all the time. And I updated your plan with the latest costs for what these things cost. And I've attempted to, and I know it's a little scary, I've attempted to say, what should you do in year 1 versus year 5 and year 10? And beyond that into the future. That's scary because I'm saying you should do it that way. But there may not be funding to do it. So I get it. I'm just trying to help because staffs change. You don't want to have to re-educate new staff. You want to say, hey, have you read the plan? Do you know where we're at? Do you know where we want to go? It helps provide continuity in your decision making. Now over on the right-hand side, that difficult thing to read, which I can't believe it's that hard to read, basically that's taking the recommendations, it's providing a description in a little more detail for those interested. Not only says it reminds you whether that was an immediate, short, mid, or long term, but it has a checklist. Why? So that as you get to those things, hey, did y'all repave the parking lot? Well, we wanted to. Well, let's check it off. So when we have that annual meeting once a year, we can go back and easily assess what have we done and what's left to be done. Again, a recreation plan like this is not promising anything. But if you do not adopt a plan, you are not competitive enough to get the grant funding you need to implement these things. So I implore you to please consider adopting this plan. It's a collection of voices. It's a collection of good academic sense as far as what recreation should happen. It attempts to help you guide your CIPs, your capital improvement plans that they have to do occasionally, right? It attempts to provide costs in today's dollars. Now, I don't know what inflation is going to be like next year. It's going to be more than this time. You know it is. But that being said, if you don't start today and put your flag down and say, where are we and where we want to go, you can't make good decisions. And you've made great decisions up to this point. And I hope this guide helps educate further good choices. With that, I think that's my question. If you have questions for me, I'd love to take them.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Scott, I just had one question. That was it. And I believe You have the opportunity to amend this master plan in the future if need to be. Then we have the option to make an amendment to the plan, or however the case may be. We shouldn't be, are we locked into the actual, or we just,
Well, what the plan was, according to him, I think every year you could re-adopt it, or, say, with the changes, like we made these fixtures, we did the basketball courts here, and you check it off and you redo it, up to 10 years, I think, grant funding. It'll go that way, so you can use this plan and re-adopt it as much as you want to.
and or make changes to it, right?
Oh, yes.
All right.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would love for you to hire me every 10 years to do this, but it's expensive. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've been in your community enough to know your people. Here's what you should do. As you make those checklists off, as you have successes,
Right.
every 3 years or so, re-adopt your plan. Okay? If you have some new projects, somebody says, hey, Grandma died and she's got 100 acres I want to donate to. I wish that would happen. But heck, if it did, you write it in the plan, you make it the next list down, you re-adopt it, and guess what? Your grantors go, you got a brand-new plan, you're still eligible, and you didn't have to pay me to do it. Just don't wait 10 years, because then it's been so long, you've got to do this whole process over again. But if you're meeting with the people once a year, and every 3 years you're re-adopting your plan, it doesn't cost you anything.
All right. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect. That's what I needed to hear. Anything from the council?
Also, Mr. Mayor, serving on the rec committee, we adopt different members every 2 years or so often. So, of course, I feel like there would be changes as we move along.
Thank you much. Pro Tem, anything further from?
Yeah, I just want to share some appreciation for this presentation. It's truly a breath of fresh air sometimes, having an outside perspective come in and talk about the assets that we do have, the positive things that we do have going on here in Kinston. Because contrary to what anybody wants to say and believe, there are some good things happening in Kinston. And I do believe that, this plan will show us and give us a guide on how to maintain those good things and take care of the good things that we do have, while also enhancing where enhancements are needed. So thank you for offering that. I did have one question I'm just thinking about, and I'm sure this came up in some of the discussions and everything, and I think it'll definitely come up as we talk about implementation. But, one of the unique things we have with our Parks and Rec Department is jointly between the city and county. However, the city owns and operates the majority of our recreation facilities, whereas the majority of our residents live in the county. I'm interested to know if there are any, just high-level takeaways about just the relationship and any funding changes or investments you might want to see in terms of the county and city's relationship.
I'll start off with my theory. Divided we fall, together we stand, right? I believe you're doing a good job of working together, and you should continue to do that. Those new parks that this plan recommends are being recommended outside.
Right.
So you're going to see more investment outside the city at first for new things, but reinvestment in what you currently have within the city. So it's going to be balanced that way. That yearly annual meeting, that's when y'all get to go a little bit this way, a little bit that way, and make adjustments that fit you. Okay, I can't project, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't guess what we're going to be in 10 years, 5 years, next year, tomorrow.
Right.
But you're doing a good job, keep it up, remember, work together.
Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Echo, Councilmember Suggs. I do appreciate you. Thank you for giving us that insight and for coming down. And as we do, I'll restate, we do have some great things that are going on in Kinston, emphasized. However, Madam, you're recognized.
Yeah, I would just say, as we plan to meet with the county commissioners for that monthly meeting, that the time is right for us to discuss these results. In consideration, when you think about more parks is in the county, but however, Kinston is the county seat. So, as we've asked for Ms. Blount to join us, I think it would be a good idea for Scott to join us in that meeting too, and let's begin that conversation on what does funding look like, and their thoughts and ideas about the Parks and Rec plan that was shared here. Do want to say to you, Scott, that this is, I think, you definitely started your tenure as our director in the right way, by being this is one of the first things that you put your hands to. So thank you for this.
I appreciate it.
And counsel, if I may, just as Scott said, we don't intend for this to be a book that sits on a shelf. He will take this information and he will develop his budget every year from it. Very
Exactly.
similar to what we do on the utility side with all the capital improvements plans that we have there that lead us to make improvements to keep everything going.
And it goes into detail about, like, and we sat down with McGill and said, this gym needs this, the basketball court floor needs to be done, the lighting here at this gym needs to be done, the park needs to be done. So all those things are part of it. Even, it even has tennis courts, 5 years, you've recommended resurfacing. And those are the things that we're lacking over the years that we got behind. And I think moving forward, we replaced those lights, and then all of a sudden the park's dark. So I think down the road, we're going to be in a better place to keep up what we have, whereas wait until everything falls apart and trying to catch back up. And then that's a burden to the citizens and to our taxpayers. So I think down the road, we'll be in a lot better shape.
And, this plan is one that it lives and it breathes.
That's right.
And, having the input from the community in it, what I'm saying, like, whenever you give people a voice and input, they have a vested interest in it. And so, with this plan being able to live and breathe, and then being able to assess what it is that we have accomplished and those things that we're looking forward to.
It makes a difference. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Scott. Do appreciate you. Having said that, consider Kinston County Parks and Recreation Master Plan presentation approval. I entertain a motion. So moved by Councilmember Swenson. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Solomon. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 3, consider awarding bid to install a membrane roof system over the existing metal roof at the Kinston Public Services Complex to MB Roofing in the amount of $374,454. Director Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Maintaining facilities, huh? Well, that's what we're about.
Yes, sir.
Happens all across the board at the city. We did include in the current budget $375,000 to work on replacing a portion of the roof at the Kinston Public Service Complex. The portion that we're looking at doing is the part that's over the warehouse and the fleet maintenance areas, basically the old tobacco warehouse part that's at the back of the building. Those facilities are used to take care of equipment and materials for departments across the city. The actual roof that's being replaced is about 87,000 square feet. So you think about your house being 2,000, it's about 40 times that size of what we're trying to replace. Over the recent years, we've had several incidents where we've had leaks. We had the roof resealed a few years ago, I think actually 5 or 6 years ago, and the resealant just doesn't last very long. It gave us a few years, but it started leaking again the last few years, so we're back in the same situation we were. We requested proposals for the replacements. The lowest proposal we got were from BM Roofing out of Rocky Mount. Their cost for their proposal was $374,454. The other 2 bids we received were $395,440 by Curtis & Curtis and a bid of $500,000 by Curtis Construction. So the appropriation we have is enough for the bid. Included in the bid is the taxes and everything else associated with the work. It does not include any payment or performance bond. Typically, for a contract this size, we would like to require that just in case there's any issues with the contractor once they get started. This contractor, we made them aware of that, even though they weren't included in any of the proposals we received. They've already provided us copies of the bonds, so we have them as well as insurance for their company. So they've been very, very eager to meet our needs and whatever we asked for so far. The cost of the bonds, whatever they charge us for that, we think it may be up to $7,500. We'll pay that out of our operating budget, so that'll be covered that way. The roof that's being replaced, instead of putting on a new metal roof, we're going to put a membrane roof over top of the metal. The roof on this building is just metal. So if we were to replace the metal, you would basically remove all of the current roof, so the interior is exposed, and then put a new roof down, which is a little more difficult and about twice the cost of what we got proposed. The roof with the membrane will still have a 20-year warranty, so it will be covered just like a standard roof, which I think will be in our best interest. It'll be lower cost, same warranty, and get us a new unleaking roof for our facility. What I'd like to ask for tonight is recommend the City Council award the project to BM Roofing in the amount of $374,454.
Thank you, Steve. Having said that, anything from the council as it relates to this being
Hey,
roofing?
Steve, is there a contingency fee attached to this or no?
No, we're not asking for any contingency. It's a lump sum price. It's not based on unit prices for materials, so that price should be good. They're ready to go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Having said that, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved by Pro Tem Hardy. Is there a second?
Second.
Repeat the second.
Give it to me, Seaforth.
Oh, yeah, to the gentlewoman, Councilwoman Seaforth. All right, so seconded by Councilwoman Seaforth. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right. Item number 4, consider purchase of 2 rear-loaded garbage trucks from Lilley International through the North Carolina Sheriff Association Joint Purchasing Contract 2610-0422 at a cost of $597,288 plus tax and taxes for a total of $601,288.00. Director Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, in the current budget, we had requested funds to replace 2 of our existing rear-load garbage trucks. They're in our residential division. They're used mostly for residential service. They also are used for doing leaf collection, loose debris collection, recycling. All these things can be done with a rear loader, so it's a very convenient vehicle to have. The 2 vehicles we're asking to replace is Vehicle 419, which is a 2008 truck, and Vehicle 420, which is a 2007 model truck. Both these trucks in the last 3 years have been averaging $8,000 to $10,000 a year in maintenance costs, mostly due to their age, leaks, hydraulic issues they're having, things like that. The purchase will be made from Lilley International through the North Carolina Sheriff's Association Joint Purchasing Contract. This is part of one of the many procurement contracts we can participate in. It meets all of our procurement policy requirements. Identical trucks are going to be ordered for the 2 vehicles, so they're the exact same cost. The cost of each vehicle is $298,644, which is the $597,288 total. Delivery is expected to take 7 to 9 months, so we do think it will be within this fiscal year, but it's going to be very close to the end of it. Because of that, we are asking that the total cost, including tax and tags, be part of the award. So if we need to roll the purchase order to next fiscal year, those funds will be included and can be released into the new fiscal year when the vehicles arrive. So I'm recommending City Council consider approval of the purchase of the 2, their model HV 607 SBA rear-loading garbage trucks from Lilley International for a total combined cost of $597,288 plus tags and taxes for a total cost of $601,288. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Anything from the council as it pertains?
Steve, what was the age on those trucks again?
One was a 2007 model and one was a 2008 model.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved by Councilmember Swenson. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Seaforth. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 5, consider authorizing myself, the mayor, to execute the Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Kinston and Lenoir County for adoption of a tax incentive policy for downtown Kinston. Madam Manager, would you like to interject?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This is the first item coming out of the joint working committee between the city and the Lenoir County Commissioners. The members of the city council who are on this board are Mayor Hardy, Mayor Pro Tem Hardy, and Councilmember Solomon. A draft of the memo of understanding of the program is attached. Briefly, it's under this program, an investment is made into a property, jobs are created to support the newly renovated building and the business. The new investment and job creation is supported through a granting of taxes back. So as they increase the value of the property and create that extra piece of taxes, they can earn it back under this program. They have to maintain at least 3 new jobs during the 5 years of the program. It will be an application to myself and the county manager. If they meet all the criteria you see on the second page, which includes the creation and retainment of 3 jobs during the 5-year period, they must have obtained all state and local permits. The work that they do must be performed by a qualified licensed professional. They must receive contractor estimates for the work being performed, and they shall provide a current tax value prior to and then after the improvements are made, which will be verified before they receive the reimbursement. In your package, you have an example of what this would look like, example of the tax incentive. The county would give a portion of theirs, and we would give a portion of ours created. I don't know if any of the members of the Joint Working Committee want to comment on any of the conversation. The county adopted it this morning at their meeting, and just asking the council if you're ready to adopt it as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great collaboration with the county and the first initiative that we're taking to move forward with that collaboration, with working together with the county, city and county. So I think it's something that we should do or must do, however, as we see a future with the city and the county working together collaboratively. Anything from the council or the members of the actual joint working committee as it relates to this particular item?
Yeah, I'll just add that it is a good opportunity finally to have both governing boards at the table to talk about matters of Kinston. In consideration, as I always say, I mean, this is the county seat. I was pleased with the agreement. There was only just one little thing that I asked for the committee to consider, and that's just where it just says removal of downtown blight. I just, my question was, can we just keep it as blight? My thinking is all roads lead to downtown. And, when we consider removal of blight, that's inclusive of the entire community. And just as I stated, as we continue to try, as we listen to the voices of the people that came, all roads lead to downtown. So it's not just the downtown blight that we're concerned about, but it's the blight that we see throughout this community. Because a lot of times, as stated before, certain businesses get here, they have to drive through these communities. So that was just my only angst about the contract, about the agreement.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Would you like to interject?
I just want to say, Mr. Mayor, that this is something that's been in the works a long time. There's been a lot of division between the county and the city, and it was time for us to bridge that gap. It's been going on too long, and we felt like it was time for us to come together and do things productive together, because we live in this community. It's Lenoir, Kinston, Lenoir County, so just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Any further discussion from any council members? All right, hearing none, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved by Councilwoman Solomon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Swenson. Under discussion. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, information and updates. Webb project update, Scott Alston.
Council, back again. Recreation is hot topic tonight. Wanted to give you some information on Webb. I know it's been a long time coming, and this project has started with Corey, and I've kind of had to jump into it and halfway through and keep the ball rolling. So just want to give you some updates, some pictures, and give you where we're at with this project. Items completed, walkways, and I'll put a note on that. The contractor is coming back this week to start working on some repairs to the walkways. I know there's been some issues, but he's coming this week, and he's also going to extend the walkway from the walkway to the playground to make it accessible for handicap accessible. So you should see somebody out there in this next week or two to start working on that. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Basketball court they are up, and both goals are up. We are adding benches, trash cans have been ordered, so we hope to have those pretty soon, but there's already kids out there playing, and that sort of thing. Stream restoration, we just actually put the rock down. The last hurricane that came through washed a lot of the rock out, so our maintenance department put the rock out today, and so it should be up to par. And you see the natural vegetation starting to grow in the middle, the cattails and those sort of things, so it looks good. Playground was installed in the fall of 2024, and like I said, you can see the area right there. That walkway will go from that brick straight to the playground to make it accessible. And the splash pad, as you know, we opened for 2 weeks, and we're looking to paint that now in this off season. So hopefully we're going to put a logo, the All American City logo, and we're getting contractors to look at that this month. It does have, if you see the features on there, there's a lot of underground features, a lot of small ones the kids can put their feet on, and it could go up and down. So you see that at Fairfield as well. So, sometimes you really can't see that from the road, but they're right there on the left and the right. And it is motion, so when kids this year, it's on water, so water's not being used. You can touch it, and every 5 minutes it goes off. So it's saving the city a lot of waters by having that motion detector. And our amphitheater is just been finished. Our maintenance has done a lot of the grass themselves, a lot of the irrigation, and they also put that nice bed behind the walkway. We are going to look for a walkway right there, and we're also getting power hooked up to the stage so that people can have a concert or movies in the park or whatever they desire. Our additional updates, the roofs have been updated, and you can see that when you ride by. It just makes it look a lot cohesive together. Nice green roofs at all three of the roofs, and I forgot to put the picnic shelter in there as well, so they all match. And the gymnastics bathroom. This is a dual bathroom for the splash pad. It needed a lot of work. It was old. It was usable, unlike the bathrooms at the bathhouse. So it needed some work, so we updated those and got them ready for the opening in the last 2 weeks, and they look a lot better. And just to give you, I think I showed it last time, the gymnastics renovation. This is the waiting area. We put a lot of effort into that. We have over 60 kids at the gymnastics program that are in and out of that facility, and they're continuing to grow. There's the new gymnastics floor, and you can see there's also the new hallway that divides it off, so you don't have kids rolling everywhere. And then there's the old floor. So it still retains a lot of cushion, but they're able to do multi-use that floor for dance. So the dance and gymnastics are there now instead of being at Fairfield and in Webb. Some items left, additional walking track, as I said, to the playground, and he's coming this week to make some improvements. Painting and design logo for splash pad, we are working on that, and lighting around the track, similar Pearson, that is in our budget. We've already got estimates, so we hope to move on that. So we're looking to have a nice, if you look at the lights at Pearson Park, these will be similar lights, highlights that people can see from the road. Obviously, they're not going to be red. We don't want red. We want black colored ones. So. Signage at Queen and Highland, we're going to take the old sign down. We may do something with it and make a kind of a picture to put at the center. If you've seen this, because it still says Kinston Parks and Rec on it. It doesn't say Kinston Lenoir, so it goes way, it's an older sign, so we do want to keep some memorabilia for that, maybe put it up in the rec center. And restoration of old lighting at the one-way street. If you notice the two columns that come by, we're looking at maybe, our maintenance department is looking to see if they can redo those lights and maybe put old lanterns up to make it give it that old feel. So we hope to do that. Our estimate to complete the project is October. We're looking at potentially a ribbon cutting around the 23rd of October. We got still some things to do, but we think we can get it all done and have a nice opening ceremony. And it'd be a great time, maybe 5 to 7 p.m. is what we've been thinking. So. But those are the main things. I did include a budget, just kind of gives you an overall view of how much things cost. I know there's been questions on that, just to give you a round estimate, because like the master plan said, everything's going up and it's continuing to go up, and we got the best deals we could at a time. Questions from the council?
Anything from the council? Pro Tem, be recognized.
Scott, I don't really have a question. I just want to commend you on coming in and taking over a project that somebody left you, and the great work you and the rest of the Recreation Department has done with that park. I remember not so long ago, people would always say, well, y'all just going to let Emma Park go to be nothing. And through collaboration with Kinston teams, the city, and Parks and Rec, we were able to get that place looking real nice. And I appreciate all y'all, all that participated in it and made it a great place for. I see the kids out there playing every day.
We had a, just piggyback on that, we had a guy walking the track the other day, and he just thanked us how much it had improved. And we have a few kids that got out there, and they were loving it. So we're hoping, like I said, next summer, we continue to pull the uptrend on it. And I think once people know it's there next year, it'll get used heavily and go from there.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I would say to you, Scott, again, thank you for, you came in when it was already, work was already started or whatever. But I know it was a major conversation, and I guess my question is, I have two questions that have been a main concern with the citizens. And mine personally is, what happened to the amphitheater? And my question is, like, who was the project manager on this?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talked about the amphitheater, that original design and that conversation was an amphitheater where the seating would be descending.
Mm-hmm.
It would be almost like a semicircle, and the seating would be descending.
Mm-hmm.
And because that was the major conversation of, I mean, for some of us, when we talked about getting rid of the pool, like you getting rid of a pool, and we all, know the cost of what the repairs of the pool was.
Yeah.
But then when we look at the end result of just merely a platform and a hood, like, my question is, what happened?
Well, I can give you the update on that. When I got to the project, the demolition, I guess, cost a lot more. When Corey did the project, we probably had half the budget left. So the demolition of the pool, obviously, as you see, the budget was a lot higher than what I think was estimated, so removing all that. And then after looking at it, when I got a hold of it, you look at the plan, you have to get the grant, you have to have a splash pad, you have to have an amphitheater. So if for some reason you put more money into an amphitheater and you don't do a splash pad, then you lose your funding. So that's kind of where I got into it, because I got, we have half this funding left, and I've got to make it work for, to finish it out. I can't tell you about the upfront costs, but.
Because the walkway, if I'm not mistaken, was completed first.
Mm-hmm. The walkway, when I got to it, the walkway and the demolition were already in tow, in process. So those funds had already been spent, and so we had to kind of make do with what was left to make sure that we got the grant. Because if we don't finish the grant, if we leave something out, all that funding is null. So that's where we're at. So our staff, our superintendent staff, actually, he did a lot of that himself on the grading of that lawn. And then with the funds we had allotted, we did a concrete pad, and we found a nice shelter to put on it, and we're going to add the electrical. So we kind of worked within our framework. I hate to say that, because it's something that was out of my kind of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And like I said, it has to be like, almost like moving forward now.
Mm-hmm.
But just because this has been an expressed concern, of the community, and as we talk about moving forward,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
we talk about issues of equity, the concern about the splash pad.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate for, and like I said, you can't even really take accountability, because like your heartbeat is different, but it's just, the question is, if we already had a model of a splash pad, and it's beautiful, it's cute, you know, now I do like some of the features that the one that on Emma Webb has,
Yeah.
that the one that we don't see at, Fairfield.
Yeah.
But when you look at how limited it is,
It's more condensed. I'd say the number of features, and I'm just going by where our contractor has the same amount of features, it's just in a smaller area. But we were limited what was in the budget left, and, you know, that's the main thing I can say is, you know, from the beginning, I got it from midway on, and we dealt with what we could on the way through, so.
Scott, I have a quick, go ahead, Mr.
one
Go ahead.
more.
All right.
And we also originally talked about Smart Kinston or partnering with an artist. There was conversations about possibly, you know, having some of our high school or local art classes to do artwork on that basketball court. Is that still?
That's still on the table. Really, you know, we're kind of asked them, I know school just started, and that's, but they did reach out to Kellen Hill at Kinston High, and she related to them, so it's just a matter of getting them there. And we'll also do that a little bit. We had to have somebody professional for the splash pad because we can't do it ourselves. You know, if we're going to do a All-American logo, you know, our guys, we're great, but we're not artists. So that's one thing we're going to get together this month and hopefully get everything done by the 23rd. That's what we're aiming for. Sorry.
All right, thank you, Scott. Councilmember Suggs.
Yeah, I just had a question, because maybe I'm misremembering, or just maybe I was heavily involved early on before I even was on the council, but then once I got on council, we were at the implementation phase by that point. We got the grant. So that was up to Parks and Rec. But my understanding of how everything went with the creation of the plan and then the application for the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant, we knew up front that we weren't going to be able to accomplish everything in the grant. That was made clear to the council when the former Parks and Rec director came up and, you know, shared the application with us, let us know what they were applying for, and then we all, as, you know, consumers in this economy, know that costs are rising. We knew that what we could do with the $1 million that we had allocated to this project was going to be limited to some extent. And I was under the full impression that eventually the council would allocate additional funds or direct our staff to apply for more grants to get the amphitheater fully constructed, to rehabilitate the swim house now, because if we don't have a pool, we have this huge structure still there that we need to figure out something to do with. So I'm hopeful that the council would take those things into considerations, that if we've developed this nice and beautiful plan for the park, and if we haven't fully realized the plan yet, that, you know, that was the purpose of the master plan conversation earlier, that the council has to take leadership in finding the funds or directing our staff to find the funds to get additional enhancements. So I hope that the council can continue to do that in the coming budget cycles.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and you're
recognized.
correct that I would like to see, going back to the presentation, the plan that was just held, and you can't go back and do what's been already done, but that was why, you know, the question that I asked about, you know, like who was the project manager, and as Pro Tem was just saying that he didn't recollect, you know, going back and adding on to, you know, what was done. My concern is, and like I said, we'll learn from this, is that there was not, whoever the project manager was, there was not updates to what was being accomplished at the Emma Well Park and its master plan. There were no updates. If we found that we were going to end up putting almost, and I think that's what Scott was sharing with me, took a bulk of the money, $210,000 on a walkway, wherein the conversation could have came back to council of, this is what we're looking at, you know, for this cost. This is what we're facing with this amphitheater. This is what the splash pad is looking like. That when that itemized budget was done, if it would have came back to us, and then at that time, you all have to make a decision on what's most important to you. Like if we're gonna, if something has to be cut, okay, $210,000 on a walkway. Conversation leads to, well, what can we look at that may be acceptable? What's most important? Is it the amphitheater? Is it the walkway? Is it the splash pad? And that's the only thing, what I'm saying is like moving forward, is that if that's not what we're targeted to do, then somewhere it comes back to us to inform us, this is what we're facing with the Emma project.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with that, Ms. Solomon, because that's exactly what Scott has done for the last 2 years we've been working on this. Like, he's come to several meetings giving us updates on the progress at the park, when we entered into the landscape agreement with Fulters, when we added this enhancement. Like, we've had these updates. That's why it's so important for us to pay attention to updates and ask questions when we have an opportunity.
Yeah, let me say this. We do pay attention, but if you said, what was that? You don't. No, we do. Yeah, according to you.
Point of order.
According, according, because one council member says that? Because that's of his opinion?
You want to approach me?
No, I'm just saying, you
Point of order.
you felt like you had the need to have to add that.
Councilwoman Solomon, don't engage.
But, and so, as I was saying though, is that when it came forward, it is what is present. And that's the only thing I'm saying, is that moving forward, it is not that it was detailed what came up. Yes, it's up, but the concern of the splash pad, everyone saw the splash pad at the same time. And there was nothing to be able to be done about it. What I'm saying is, when it looks like there may have to be cuts, just to be informed on what those cuts look like.
Okay, and what I was just saying is that I'm pretty sure those were the updates that we were receiving on a continual basis, and like we have, and not only, and you asked questions about who the project manager was. We know who the project manager was, our Parks and Recreation Director. He gave us consistent updates on this project, and so it's been 2 whole years that we've had opportunities as a council to ask updates, ask questions, go out there, go to Parks and Rec Commission meetings. That's also something for us to consider when it comes to engage leadership in this community. We not only have a city council that provides support and advisory to our Parks and Rec, we also have a Parks and Recreation Commission Board. So folks who are excited about Emma Park, you have 2 whole governing bodies and a Parks and Rec staff that you can thank. The folks who are disappointed, you have 2 whole governing bodies and Parks and Rec staff that you can be disappointed in. Like, we have leadership, and it's up to those of us who've been elected or appointed to these positions to be the leaders, to hold our staff accountable, to ask questions when we have concerns early on, because at this point, it's almost like we're posturing at this point to make a bunch of complaints and concerns when we've had 2 whole years to do that.
No, not really.
It is.
So voicing a concern, and this goes back to what we've had conversations about before, as it pertains to conversations, and I'll just say, like the city manager. How do the manager even know, if she works at the pleasure of the council, how does she know what the pleasure of the council is if we don't have conversations? If the community has raised a concern about, just what they saw, it's our responsibility to acknowledge the concerns that they had. And I personally had a concern of just simply asking what happened. My concern was also probably the concerns of a lot of other people. And so sometimes asking those questions of clarity, it doesn't mean that you weren't involved, doesn't mean that you were unengaged. It is just for a point of clarity.
All right, I'll end this conversation now. It's fine. But to your point, because I'm in full agreement that there are concerns by the community, but the community isn't elected and involved in these conversations and discussions on a regular basis. So we as elected officials, we have a responsibility that when we have concerns or we start hearing things early on, we have to be the ones who are engaged in those conversations, shutting down misinformation, clarifying things for our community. Because at this point, once the splash pad is already up, things are done, he's talking about a ribbon cutting, it's almost posturing at this point to keep going on and on.
No, it ain't really posturing. It's about concern. And I'll say this.
All right, this is
And allow me to say this.
Let me speak.
That
while I'm talking,
if there is, when it comes to transparency, we want to talk about transparency.
Yeah.
There are certain things that we can't speak about if we're not aware of it.
All right, thank you much for the comment. All right. All right, having said that, I'll end these comments. There'll be no further discussion. Thank you, Scott. I do appreciate the efforts of each and every person that was on the council that gave their insight or input. Looking forward to some collaboration as it relates to additional type funding if we want to expand upon Emma Webb Park. However, I look forward to the city and county, Parks and Recreation, the commission coming together, try to figure out exactly how we can make it even better. But I do appreciate the passion behind, community and support and as it relates to Parks and Recreation, et cetera. I do appreciate your efforts. And however, we must also always remain respectful to one another. So indeed, that's something that we must do. I understand our passion, I do, but we have to be respectful. All right, so thank you all. Madam Manager, would you like to interject?
I just wanted to add something during the comments section. I believe it was Miss Moore, I hope I've got the right person, asked about external audit. We are required by the state of North Carolina to do one every year. The council hires an external auditor. They're actually here working this week. They gather information over several weeks, 2 weeks. But old ones, you can see from previous years, are online under our finance department. There's also a good explanation there of the state requirements and what they audit.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Mr. Attorney, would you like to interject?
Nothing to update in open session. Thank you.
Thank you much. All right, anything further from the council?
Yeah, I'll keep talking for a little bit. Just want to thank everyone for continuing to be engaged and coming out. Lots of good stuff happening in Kinston, lots of conversations happening on some important topics. I do want to continue to encourage my colleagues on the council to be, like I said earlier, the engaged and informed leaders and share that knowledge with our community. It's so important that we be the ones to dispel the mistruths and misinformation that we hear, to clarify things when they come up. I'm in full agreement that people deserve clarity, people deserve transparency, and they deserve to hear it from us. There's no reason that, or one of the big reasons for so much confusion and chaos and drama that's going on in our city politics right now is because they're not hearing from us. People have elected us because they trusted us to make decisions on behalf of this city. But then when they have questions, it's radio silence. We've got to be the ones on the bullhorns shutting down some of the noise and sharing the clarity and the right information with our communities. And not just in this forum, not just on first and third Tuesdays, but we need to be in churches and having town halls and going out in the grocery stores and utilizing social media. Like, it's 2025. There's no reason why every single one of us who are elected to serve the 20,000 people in this city are actively using some social media platform to share news and updates about what's going on. Like, there's such an importance of communication and effective communication. The news report last week, I'm not going to relitigate that or anything, but I got so much positive response from the video I made just talking about from the budgetary perspective and clarifying the comparison between Kinston, New Bern, and Jacksonville. Such an overwhelmingly positive response from our community members because I needed to hear that from a council member, or, I didn't know they left that part out of the story. I'm not trying to justify anything that anybody has done because that's not my job. But my job is to educate and inform and make sure that my community knows what's going on. And I just want to encourage us all to do that. We have to be the ones to shut down misinformation and not the ones who are egging people on, not the ones throwing stones and then hiding our hands because we know that the conversations that we're having at our lunch counters or with our friends and stuff, then they go out here and getting loud in the community. No, we've got to be letting our friends and family be the ones to know the truthful and accurate information so that they can also be cheerleaders and champions for this community. But I'm so disappointed in some of the silence that has come from this governing body because that's not what the folks elected us to do. That silence is not what we're supposed to be doing as leaders. So however you want to do it, and if you need some help, I ain't campaigning, so I got nothing but time. I don't mind helping y'all because I care about my community. Like, if we need to set up social media pages and email newsletters and stuff, like, let's do it because, like, at this point, the lack of information coming from us allows people out in the streets to make assumptions and make crazy ideas in their heads and believe it as truth and fact when we know it's not the case. But if they're not hearing it from us, there's nobody saying otherwise. So that's my encouragement to my council colleagues. My encouragement to the community is to ask us questions, call on us. the public comment, citizen comment forum is not designed to really be a forum for question and answer. It's a time for y'all to have 3 minutes to come up here and complain or praise or thank or do whatever you want to do, but it's not necessarily set up for dialogue. But what is set up are the emails and the phone calls or inviting us to your church. Let's have a little town hall 30 minutes before service starts. So at Bible study, let a council member come in or a city staff person come in and talk about what's going on. Those are ways that this city government can be engaged in the community. And I want to encourage you all to do that, to call on us, call on our staff, invite us out to your neighborhood watch meetings and homeowners associations and your housing group meetings and your senior meetings. Like, those are opportunities that we can come out and ask questions. And we need more of that, because I truly believe that the lack of conversation, the lack of transparent dialogue, I don't know what you're shaking, the lack of transparent conversations is one of the driving factors for all the chaos that we're seeing. And as elected officials, I think we have responsibilities to be leaders, but I also just want to call on the community to do your part and work alongside us and call on us to help you and do the same thing.
Councilman Suggs, I agree with you 100%. Since all this social media stuff has come out, I have been to at least 6 or 7 different organizations to explain the very things that you were talking about. I'm not a social media guy. That's just not me. I go out to houses, I go out to different organizations, I speak about what this council is about, and I can tell everyone that's in this audience or listen to this meeting tonight, this is my family. This council is my family. I love every one of them. Whether they believe it or not, I do anything for any one of them that's on this council. And I speak highly of every one of them, and I think of them just like my brothers and sisters. So I just want everybody out here in the city of Kinston to know that, in Lenoir County. This is my family. I stand by them. I believe in what they're doing, and we continue to do good things, but those things are never spoken about. I have done, as Kinston Teens Organization, I know Felicia, me and her have walked to people's houses and talked with their kids about different issues. We have fed people. We have done a lot of things in this community that we don't boast and brag about. It ain't important to us to brag about it. We do things that help people from the bottom of our hearts, because we all love God and He's the leader of all this world.
Yes, Ms. Seafor. Go right
I
ahead.
would like to say I'm not a social media person either, but I do have a concern, and I also talk with people, beauty salons, church. I'm in several organizations on boards and clubs, and also I teach at a school. So just because you might not hear my voice, I'm out there talking to people all the time. And my message is, get the facts, tell the truth, because that's where I come from. Because when they want to know something, I let them know, you don't have to take my word. This agenda is made public. You can go and see everything you want to. You have questions, feel free to ask me. So yes, I have a community of people I speak to. I'm in the church every Sunday, unless I'm out of town. I'm on my job every day. And yes, Scott, yesterday, I rode by Emma Webb with 3 students, and she saw that splash pad. You know what she said? I'm going to tell my mom to bring me here. So that's great. So you can't take, say that just because you don't see people, you don't know who they're influencing. I'm with children, 500 every day. And I left my job to come here because I was at the school and couldn't go back home to get my device. So I borrowed one. So everybody in the community know who I am. I've been teaching and working for over 47 years. Thank you.
Any further discussion from any other council members? All right. Having said that, I say thank you for those comments. I do appreciate everyone that gave input. I do appreciate everyone that does all the great things to help represent our city all across our city. I can't thank you guys enough over here, our staff and the city manager for doing what you do. Indeed, an honor and a privilege to be able to work alongside of you. It's a 360 approach of leadership, which you must have. It's never going to be one-sided. You have to be able to advocate for everyone, every single person in our city. You know, some folks think that we should just cater to one side or the other. One side or the other. But I didn't ask for your comment. I didn't ask for your comment. And please be quiet while I'm talking. It's called professionalism. I have the floor, and this is my chambers. Understand that. All right? It's all about professionalism. You have to be professional in every way that you can, if you can. However, I do appreciate those that are here tonight. I do appreciate you coming in the future. Thank you for advocating for our city. We have a lot of great things going on in our city, and we are an all-American city, and we put a lot of work in to get there. But you know, there's so many folks that are actually out there trying to actually break us down and put us in a position that we're not. Understand that we are recognized on the local, state, and the national level. However, why? Because there are some folks on this council that go out and advocate every single day. And understand that. But I appreciate you for being here and for advocating and talking about the things that means most to you. Thank you for advocating in our high distress census tract areas throughout our community. Thank those for filling the gap. I thank everybody out there that's filling the gap. There's a lot of folks over here in this area that are filling the gap, to include on this council. Whether it's food insecurities, clothing, coats, however the case may be, whatever your issue is, thank you for your support. Thank you for pushing these things out to the people that need it most and the time that they need it most. Those folks can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. So I look forward to seeing you not just at this council meeting, but the ones in the future. And we look forward to advocating and having town hall meetings in different particular areas. But let me say this. I can want you to be great on the east side. However, you have to want to be great. I can say this because I'm from the east side. Understand that. So when we start to talk about folks on the east side, this is what I do. This is where I live. So whenever you come, make sure you come correct. Understand that we send you back. But I thank each and every one of you. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are we doing to help others? And I thank each and every one of us for doing our part. That's our time. Right now, I entertain a motion to go to closed session. North Carolina General Statute 143, Tag 318.11, A3. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilmember Swenson, and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hardy. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. We're now in closed session. Test. All right. Entertain a motion to go out of closed session.
Motion.
So moved by Councilmember Swenson,
Second.
seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hardy. Under discussion. Under discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. I'm gonna do this a short way. I now declare this meeting duly adjourned.